welcome to another Bflycrochet tutorial. Today I will teach you how to do the knit stitch, which is probably the first stitch that you learn when you want to learn to knit. So to do so, I will use the loops and threads Snuggly Wiggly, oh, there you go, in the candy pink colorway. And I will be using circular needles. Those are boy in 4 millimeters. So it's just plain. I prefer circular needles over straight needles, so that's why. So here is an example of what it will look like. So that is, we call them garter ridges. So there are those bumps in here. So they are made by doing 2 passes of all knit stitch. So if you count them, you can see how many rows I've done. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I'm at my 11 rows. So to do the knit stitch, first of all, I'm an English knitter. There's 2 kinds of knitters. There's English and continental. I can do both, but I prefer to do English knitting. And I'm also a thrower, which means that I do throw my needle every time I do a stitch. There's flickering also. I can also do that, but I'm a faster knitter when I do English style throwing method. So I hold my yarn around my pinky just for the stability of the yarn, and I put my pointer finger underneath so that I can gauge my yarn with my pointer finger. So to do a knit stitch, you need to go from left to right underneath the stitch. So your needles are crossing each other, and then you wrap your yarn counterclockwise. And then you grab your needles. I help myself with my other pointer needles, my other pointer finger, sorry, my index finger, and I just grab it from underneath to above, and after that you can just drop the stitch and you have your first knit stitch done. So I will do it again. So we'll go from left to right underneath. I will wrap my yarn counterclockwise, and then I will pull the yarn to have my yarn in front and drop my stitch. Do it again. Go from left to right, wrap counterclockwise, and then pull, and so that my needle is now on top of the other one, and drop the stitch. Last time. Go from left to right, wrap my yarn counterclockwise, grab my needle and pull it from underneath to go above and drop it. I will do it fastest way. So I will continue my row so that you can see. This is my normal speed. A little bit slower than I normally knit. But it should look something like that. So I will finish my few stitches that I have left, and I will meet you back there. So now I've done my row. So if I want to continue, I just turn my work and exchange my needle. And I'm ready to go. I would like to give you some advice. First of all, you need to be careful when you're going into the stitch to not split the yarn. I will make it on purpose so you will see there is yarn both sides. Don't know if you can see it, but there's yarn both sides. Like, don't split the ply here like I did split the ply. And so when I'm doing my stitch, you know, you see there's yarn. If that happens, just drop your stitch and go back. So you can do your stitch and it won't matter. Because if you split a stitch, then afterwards you will have yarn peeking through and it will not be a nice fabric. Also, you need to be careful not to have it too tight, because if you do it too tight, you won't be able to go in your stitch afterwards, and it will be harder to go in there. And if it's too loose, then your fabric won't be nice and like that. It will be like all of it. So you need to find your gauge. Gauge is different from everybody, so that's why when you have a pattern, you always have the gauge and you need to be the closest to the gauge. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. At any time, if you have a problem with it, you can email me or send me messages on everything. All my info will be down below in the description bar. And while you're there, if you want to subscribe or like that or like this video, I will really appreciate it. Until next time, happy knitting. Bye.